Jumping into the number 5 spot of the top 5 budget IEMs for gaming in 2025 is the SimGot EW200, coming in at a price tag of only $31.99. And if you guys want to check out any of the 5 IEMs in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links, but let's talk about the EW200. For just over $30, these really impressed me. They're tuned to have a more airy sound. Trebles and higher mids are at the forefront here. It was a bit sharp while listening to music, but in-game details of footsteps and whispers and clicks of guns and things happening in the game was great. It has some bass, which for the price was a nice surprise, but things like explosions aren't full or weighty like others on the list. The directionality here is also decent, although as we go up the list, it does get better and better. Now, for the price, the build is very impressive. The body is made entirely of metal and has a mirrored finish. There's also the SimGot logo etched on the front plate, as well as a convenient right and left markings near the 2-pin connectors, which I really do appreciate that for people that don't really understand IEMs. As far as accessories, this comes with a total of 3 sets of rubber ear tips, as well as a fabric carrying pouch. For comfort, these are pretty good here. The angle of the body fits nicely in my ears, they aren't too heavy, and the ear cups sit in a nice angle to have a locked-in feel. That being said, I'd like some more ear tips for a more tailored fit, as these weren't perfect for my ear shape and ear canal, but overall full pass, that's what we expect at this price point. For connectivity, this is wired with a detachable 0.78mm 2-pin cable that has a 3.5mm connection on the other side, and there is also a mic variant that you can get, and if you get that variant, like I have, it has an attractive twisted design with the cable with metal ends, and for the price, I really wasn't expecting that, so that is definitely a nice thing to have. Now for the mic, take a listen.
This is the mic test of the SimGot EW200s. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
That is how it sounds, but with that, let's move on to the number 4 spot, which is the Blonde BL042, coming in at a price tag of $36.99. The tuning on these is more of my preference here, being much more balanced while still a bit emphasizing the upper frequencies. It has a good clarity in the trebles, but the sound delivery is cleaner and less harsh than the previous IEM, making this better if you want to use these to listen to music as well as game. Now, these also have a much more full sound overall, having better mids and definitely more bass here, making explosions, low rumbles, or music in-game sound more weighty, true to life, and full. But the next IEM on the list is definitely the best if you're a bass lover. However, the BL032 has directionality that is definitely a step up and a bit more precise than the previous IEM as well. Now, the build here is the most simple on the list, with no flashy body or logos. It's completely made of metal with a rounded shape, but it's not super beautiful looking. There are also right and left markings on the inside of the body, which again, I really like. Nothing special. If you like a stealth look, then these are going to be great, but for accessories, you get a fabric carrying case, as well as 3 sets of rubber ear tips. Now, comfort here was great for me. Ear hooks have a very tight curve to them, which may be a con for those with larger ears, but for me, it was great fitment and feels very secure. They are the lightest on the list and the smallest form factor with no sharp edges, so it was very comfortable for long gaming sessions. For connectivity, this is wired with a 0.78mm 2-pin cable that has a 3.5mm connection. The cable feels a bit cheaper than the previous IEM, but has nice coatings and is partially twisted while having some beefy connection points. And for the mic, well, you can get this with a mic, but I have the mic less variant, so I cannot give you a mic test. With that, let's move on to the number 3 spot. And that is the Truth Ear Zero Red, coming in at a price tag of $60.99. Now, sound quality on the Zero Reds is great here, being very clear and balanced throughout. There's great separation between different instruments if you're listening to music, and really good directionality in game for footsteps, voices, and things like gunfire. However, the great bonus with these IEMs is the added bass adapter that comes in the box. Using this, you get a warmer sound with more bass, which makes it sound like explosions, grenades, and bombing runs in games sound epic, but can even get to a point of being overpowering. So if you really love bass, these are going to be an excellent fit for you. Music with these sounds great. Without the adapter, you get a more neutral sound with a bit more detail in those trebles, which for competitive FPS games, I actually prefer. But again, if you really want that deeper bass and a warmer sound, swap them out, and this is a great fit. A really nice thing to have at a budget price point. Now for the build, they are made of lightweight plastic, which is a good move in my opinion due to the size of these. The front has a really attractive red glittery design that almost looks like a folded fabric, and the rest of the shell is a smoky black. Definitely on the more premium side of the build and looks. Now for accessories, this has a pleather carrying case, 6 sets of rubber ear tips here, and a set of foam tips. this is the most on the list and something that I really appreciate to get that fitment perfect. Now, comfort here, well, unfortunately, it's the worst on the list, specifically if you have smaller ears. Now, for me, it doesn't rub anywhere, and it's not uncomfortable for me, but my ears are larger, and this isn't made of metal, so the weight here is not an issue. The issue here is the larger nozzles. If you have a tighter ear canal, like smaller ears and then ear canal in general, well, this might be too small for you. These tips were a bit wide for Haley's ear canals, but fine for mine. But to be fair, Haley has very, very small ears. Everyone's ear shape and size are different though, so if you have wider ear canals, this shouldn't be an issue. Plus, if you do have normal sized ears, this is probably going to be even more comfortable because of the massive amount of ear tips that you get, especially having those foam tips included in the box. That is really, really nice to have. Now, for connectivity, this is wired with a 0.78mm 2-pin cable that has a 3.5mm connection. The cable itself is braided and twisted and is very attractive, although it does tangle fairly easily. The connection points are all plastic, however, they are quite robust and should last. For the mic, there is none here. With that, let's move on to the number 2 spot. And this is the SimGot EW300, the standard edition, coming in at a price tag of $69.99. The sound quality here is overall a step up. The Reds definitely still win in the bass department, but you do get crispier trebles here that sound really clean and provide even more detail in games like footsteps, rain hitting rooftops, all those little small details just a little bit better here. Also for music, while it's not going to have the bass of the previous IEM, you are going to get more separation here. It's overall very well balanced and has a fantastic full sound with dreamy mids without losing clarity in the trebles. The soundstage is also wider here, giving more accuracy to directionality in game, and music sounds better. Now for the build, the body of these is completely made of metal that is gray with a mirrored finish. The added heart and X details on the front plate makes the styling look a little bit more unique, and there's also the EW300 logo etched on the inside of the shell, along with the right and left markings, which again is nice to have. For accessories, this has a hard carrying case, 3 sets of ear tips, more silicone rings, and nozzle foam if you want to play around with the tuning, as well as some extra set of nozzles to give you a bit more bass. That can be fun to play with. For the price though, I do wish they'd given you 6 sets rather than just 3 sets of ear tips, but these are still a very good IEMs, and that's why they're in the number 2 spot. Now, comfort here is fantastic. The provided ear tips are very comfortable. They aren't too heavy, the ear hooks support them well, the shape is also inoffensive and sits on my ears nicely with no issues. Full pass here. I think these would work well for a very big variety of ear sizes. For connectivity, this again has the standard 0.78mm 2-pin to 3.5mm connection and has a fun dual color cable with a twisted design on the bottom half, also having metal accents and robust wrappings, making this feel a very, very solid cable. For the mic, there is no mic here, but with that, let's move on to the number 1 best budget IEM for gaming in 2025. This is the Keyfine Clean, coming at a price tag of only $49. The sound on the Cleans is truly impressive. They have the best clarity and the higher frequencies on the list without being harsh, as well as having the most separation between instruments and music or sounds in game. This also has the widest soundstage and best directionality on the list for sure, which is really why this is in the number 1 spot. Footsteps approaching, airplanes flying overhead, and gunfire is super easy to pinpoint in game. Bass levels are similar to the EW300, so they have full sound but aren't on the level of the Reds with that really nice bass adapter. Still a very clean and balanced sounding IEM that is exceptional for the price. For the build, the shell is made entirely of metal with a front plate having a printed diamond design with the Keyfine logo on the top. These also have the left and right indicators, which is nice, and the nozzles have the Fibonacci sequence, which looks awesome. As for the accessories, this comes with a hard carrying case, 3 sets of rubber ear tips, and a second set of nozzles. I really wish it had 6 sets of tips, but you cannot beat this sound quality at this price, so it gets a pass there. Now, the comfort here is great. The shape is larger, but it's very well balanced, and the added support of the ear hooks, I really didn't notice any fatigue with long gaming sessions. Though there isn't a ton of ear tips, the median size was great for me and really, really comfortable, so a full pass. For connectivity, this again uses the standard 0.78mm 2-pin to 3.5mm connection, has a very attractive silver colorway, and all the connection points, even around the 2-pin connectors, are all metal. This cable feels very durable overall and has a very attractive twisted design on the bottom half. But again, if you want to check out any of the 5 IEMs in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, US, UK, Canada, and international links. And if you're new to IEMs, the quality of sound that you're going to get with the number 1 spot, or really any of them on the list, is going to far outweigh the price that you would have to pay in a headset to get similar quality. IEMs are absolutely the best. If you put audio quality above all else, you're going to get so much more for your money when compared to headsets. It's just that if you want a headset rather than an IEM, but if you're all about sound quality, IEMs are absolutely where it's at. But this is Consumer Tech Review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.